Good morning, everybody. Welcome to CVUUS. We are going to start you off with a song today. Many of our songs this morning are all from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which is very exciting considering we have the esteemed Officer Clemmons in the room with us, so that's pretty exciting. Anyway, this is Won't You Be My Neighbor. If you know any of these, no one is stopping you from singing along with us.
Gathers on land seized from the Western Abenaki people by European colonizers. We respect the Abenaki's spiritual relationship to the land and waters of the Champlain Valley, and we are committed to building a peaceful and more just relationship with them and to promoting knowledge about their history and culture. Good morning. And welcome to those of you here in our sanctuary and to those of you on Zoom to CVUUS, the Champlain Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. You sprung ahead on this kind of unspring-like day. Congratulations to you. You are welcome here no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background. You are welcome to join us in community to learn, live, and love together. If this is your first time with us, we invite you to sign the book in the lobby, and you'll receive our monthly newsletter. Please also join us downstairs after the service for refreshments and conversation and our involvement fair. If you're a first-time or recent visitor, you'll really get a great picture of the many ways, in addition to Sunday services, to connect with folks in the congregation. If anybody isn't hearing me well enough, we do have some great aids for hearing assistance in the back. You can get one from our tech team in the back. If you haven't already done so, turn those little devices off and put them in worship mode. If anybody has a particular personal milestone or passage or joy or concern that you would like to have read and shared with the congregation, we have these yellow cards also in the lobby that you can pick up. If anyone has a need which you would like to share with our caring ministry, we have these pink cards. And there's a place to put those, and the yellow cards you just put in the basket when we have our donee. My name is Becky Strum. I'm a member of this congregation and of the worship team, and today I am delighted to serve as worship associate for the Reverend Christina Sillari, one of our 2 contract ministers. Thanks so much to all who are collaborating to make this service possible. Our tech team, Dorothy Mammon, Richard Hopkins, and I see Abby Sessions on the camera, Steve Butterfield, the flower buds for our lovely decor, our choir, Dr. Francois Clemmons, and Ronnie Romano, and the choir for music, and the hosts of our social hour, and our friendly greeters and ushers. As they say, it takes a village.
Thank you, Becky. Good morning. It's good to be with you again. Our opening words are from Reverend Rosemary Bray McNatt, and they're called "It's Hard Work." The truth is, if there is no justice, there will be no peace. We can read Thoreau and Emerson to one another, quote Rilke and Alice Walker and Howard Thurman, and think good and noble thoughts about ourselves. But if we cannot bring justice into the small circle of our individual lives, we cannot hope to bring justice to the world. And if we do not bring justice to the world, none of us is safe and none of us will survive. Nothing that Unitarian Universalists need to do is more important than making justice real, where we are. Hard as diversity is, it is our most important task. Let's sing our hymn, Gather the Spirit, number 347 in the gray hymnal, or the words are right there.
Great. So, Amaya, if you would like to come up and help light the chalice, that would be great. And the chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. And as Amaya lights the chalice, she's a pro. Thank you, Amaya. So join me in saying the words on the screen or in your order of service. We light this chalice for all who are here and all who are not, for all who have ever come through our doors, for those who may yet find this spiritual home, and for those we can't yet imagine. For each of us and for all of us, may this flame burn warm and bright.
So speaking, we don't usually use this mic, but I wanted to try it. Check, 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 check. Yeah? Good? Okay, so speaking of flames burning bright, I don't know if you can all see this. Holy cow, this is so exciting. I think this is a thanks to Abby, who I don't know if she's here. I think she's the one. Abby, are you got the replacement finally yet? After we kicked the idea down the road for many months. But I looked at chalices at a bunch of other places online, like just to kind of see what they had, and I got chalice envy. Like, what? We had a flame that was like this. You know, I don't know that that's like my proudest UU moment, but it's probably my quintessential UU moment, so there you go. Anyway, this is very amazing and exciting, and it will be super fun until someone catches on fire. So enjoy it now, because who knows how long we'll have it. So let us welcome Jet Pig. Where are they? Where? Where? In the tree. Oh. Ah. Maybe they got stuck flying around and then, I don't know, or maybe they're just hanging out. To boot. All right, Jet Pig. Powered by love. Of course. So Jet Pig is here to help us learn about the proposed new shared UU values that will be voted on this June in the national UU world. I guess in the international UU world. Really, right? I mean, that's the whole game.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so they're here to help us, and they often have something in their backpack. So let's see what we got here. Okay, we have a box of Band-Aids. So what's up with the Band-Aids? Oh, it's for a game. That's cool. Okay. So wait, there's more in here. Am I supposed to read the value first too? Yes. Okay. Okay. So the value of Sunday is equity. Equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish, to do really well, with inherent dignity and worthiness. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain, keep going with things, fully accessible and inclusive communities. Amen. So that's what we got. Okay, so let's do a game. I need 4 volunteers, and at least some of them need to be adults. So hold on, my smaller people. Kate, Ilio, Maya, and Katie. Come on up. Okay, so here's the deal, my friends. You're each going to get a slip of paper. Katie's my favorite volunteer. She doesn't even know what's on here. I said, you're each going to get a slip of paper, and you said, oh, yay. I wish my teenage children had your enthusiasm. So you're going to get a slip of paper, and on it is going to be something that is injured about your body, okay? So you're going to read it, and if you need help with that, someone will help you. You're going to read it, and then I'm going to go through you one at a time. And so it's like the nurse practitioner game, right? You come to me and you say, oh, I have whatever. My arm fell off, and I'm like, oh, and I help you, okay? Questions? You got it?
I don't understand.
Okay, so. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to give you actually number 1. And you're going to get 2. And Amaya, if you need help reading, someone can help you. You'll be this one, and you'll be this one. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes?
What am I? I don't have a number.
I know, I didn't. You're 3.
Oh,
Okay, 1, are you ready? Yeah. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me just come on over here. Let me come on over here by the big flame. Okay. Next patient, please.
Nurse Poppy.
Yes.
I scraped my arm.
Oh, no. Okay, come on over. So, can I see? Ooh, yeah. All right, so I'm going to give you a Band-Aid. It's not that bad. I think it's going to be okay, but let's cover it up and keep it clean right now. So I'm going to give you a Band-Aid right over that. All right? You're welcome. All right. All right, who's next? Number 2. That's you. You twist, here, come on over. You twisted your ankle. Which one? Ooh, yeah, that looks really swollen. Okay, does it hurt? It hurts to walk on it? Yeah, okay. So I have the perfect thing for you. A Band-Aid. So I'm going to put that Band-Aid right on your elbow. Right, you thought it was on your ankle, but the Band-Aid is the thing, I'm telling you. So, there you go, good job. Next, number 3. Hey, what's up? Ooh, yeah. Okay, what? What's wrong? Sore throat. Yeah, I kind of wish you were wearing a mask, but that's okay. I have just the thing for you. It's a Band-Aid. Is it going to go in your throat? No, that's a terrible idea. That would not help at all.
It's not going to help me at all.
No.
I come to you.
No, it's going to help you. Look. Don't. Look. I went to school for a long time.
To give people Band-Aids?
And I have a lot of debt that proves that I know what I'm doing. So,
To give people
out you go. There you go. Thank you so much for coming. Last but not least. Hello, my friend. Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah, I got a stomach ache.
Stomach ache. Yeah. Okay, well, I have just the thing for you.
You want me to eat it? Will that help my stomach?
No, that will not help. This probably explains why you have a stomach ache, actually. Okay, so there you go. All right, so you can all go. You're all fixed. Out you go. Out you go. See ya. Thank you for coming. Yeah, that's right. All right, so I solved the problem. Band-Aid for everybody. Yes? We're good? No. Wow, that's so judgmental. No. Why? What's the problem? It's not what they needed. that's exactly the thing. I wanted to be really, really fair. So I did what was equal, right? Equality for all. So everybody got the same thing. So you cannot argue that I was not fair. You all got exactly the same thing. No. What? What? Everybody doesn't need the same thing. Everybody doesn't need the same thing. That is very true. Heidi pointed out that the Band-Aid wasn't what everybody needed, right? It didn't heal everybody. So, my friends, what is the word for when you try to give everybody what they need? Katie. Equity. Equity. Sounds a lot like equality or equal, right? It still has the ek part of the word, but equity is everybody gets what they need, not the same thing. And for those of us who were brought up trying to deal with everybody should be equal, that's interesting. Kids got to skip that part. They got to jump right to equity, which is pretty cool. So, speaking of equity, what I think the kids need is to get out of here and go over to RE, where we're going to dive into equity a little more and think about accessibility of our spaces and buildings and how are we doing with what different groups might need. So let's sing us out with Peace, Salam, Shalom.
So, our donee this month is Atria Collective, and this box is always in our foyer, and it is here to accept donations of never used personal items. So I'm just pointing that out to everybody in case you haven't noticed it before. For the past 7 years, I have had the privilege of serving on the board of directors of this crucial nonprofit agency. So this morning I want to take a few minutes to talk about the dedicated, skilled, compassionate, professional staff and volunteers and the mission of this organization. Now, most of you probably know Atria by its former name, Women's Safe. Actually, if we look further back to 1982, we see that the organization was originally incorporated as Addison County Battered Women's Project. Its purpose was promoting the social welfare of Addison County by reducing the incidences of domestic violence, primarily the incidence of abuse against women. In 1988, the organization became Addison County Women in Crisis, and in 2001, the name Women's Safe was officially adopted to acknowledge that intimate partner violence disproportionately affects women and girls, especially women of color. Women's Safe purchased an office building in Middlebury, and with the help of a capital campaign, an additional building in 2018. Now, one of the first opportunities I had to serve the organization when I first joined the board was to help to stage performances at Town Hall Theater to launch the public portion of that capital campaign. Ann Webster, who was the worship ministry chair at that time, saw the performance and asked then Executive Director Carrie Duquette Hoffman and Board Chair Amy Mason and me to lead a service centered on women's faith. And that was when I had the first opportunity to speak with you from this pulpit. I also want to tell you that the board and staff were already discussing the need for a name change when I joined the board. We had board retreats, staff discussions, help from hired consultants, surveys, which I imagine many of you responded to, and certainly this name change was not taken lightly. The word atria is the plural form of atrium, a space or chamber with multiple points of entry. Atria Collective is the figurative and physical space we create and join in together, collectively providing support and working to end. Notice the change from the 1982 goal of reducing domestic violence to end gender-based violence. Atria Collective is the interconnection of three pillars of service: advocacy, education, and social change. Domestic and sexual violence are preventable. And so in the strategic plan initiated 4 years ago, we made it a goal to increase our education and prevention training. And we have done that as we work with K through 12 students in schools throughout Addison County and the town of Rochester. People of all genders deserve to feel safe. Atria provides emergency, long-term support services for anyone impacted by gender-based violence. While women are still the predominant survivors of this type of abuse, men, non-binary, and trans folks also need our services. And we feel that this was one reason for the name change. Atria considers itself a catalyst for social change. While I've served on the board, the staff developed a racial equity values statement, which can be found on our website, atriavt.org, which challenges the systems that support oppression of marginalized communities. There has been thoughtful, significant growth and change during my time on the board, but at the heart of the work, Atria Collective remains a gender-neutral, survivor-centered agency. I've learned so much working with Atria, but the most significant lesson was that survivors know what is best. They are the experts of their own experiences. Atria Collective advocates. Listen first, act second. The work is rooted in active listening and empowerment. So please join with me in your support today and be as generous as you are able.
So we have one yellow card, just reminding anyone who is new that yellow cards get read at this time during the service as a prayer or celebration. The pink cards are just given to the Caring Network and do not get read. Just wanted to clarify that. So this is from Scott Bartstall, is that how you say your name? The S is a little weird. On this milestone day, I'm most grateful for my family, many lifelong friends, and the wonderful community of CVUUS in my life now. Really? That's pretty intense. You know, I preached in Plattsburgh a number of times over the years until they got a part-time minister, and they sang happy birthday every single week. Anyway, so we're just going to spend some time in silence. So I invite you to close your eyes or gaze downward, take a deep breath. Just arriving here fully if you haven't. Bring your awareness into your heart and enjoy the silence.
for this man who gave me unconditional love. And every single time I've presented myself, since then I have tried to share unconditional love with each and every one of you. My heart is full. At the same time, it's very, very sad. I miss him. There are many ways to say I love you. There are many ways to say I care about you. Many ways, many ways, many ways to say I love you. There's the singing way to say I love you. There's the singing something special that someone would like to hear. The singing way, the singing way, the singing way to say I love you. Cleaning up your room can say I love you. Making special pictures for the holidays and making plays. You'll find many ways to say I love you. You'll find many ways to say I care about you. Many ways, many ways, many ways to say I love you.
Thank you so much, Francois. Amen. So years ago, when my father was alive, my daughter Selena and I visited my parents. Their lovely 4-bedroom, 3-bath home is situated on a little hill in a small beach community in Plymouth, Massachusetts. You can see the ocean from the kitchen and master bedroom. During dinner, Selena asked her grandparents what it was like for them growing up. As usual, my mom dominated the conversation. She told Selena she grew up in the projects in Somerville. You know what the projects are, right? Yes, Selena said. My mother went on sharing how wonderful things were, even though they did not have a bathtub or a television or a car, even though she stood in the welfare line with her mom for free bread and cheese and milk, even though she slept in a double bed with her 2 sisters in between them for many years, even though they never went to the movies or out to dinner. My dad kept trying to interject his perception of how awful and difficult life was in the projects for my mom by bringing things up like crime and cockroaches. But my mom's big brown eyes were shining brightly as she spoke to Selena, ignoring my father's comments and telling story after story of her sense of connection and belonging. Then she said, life in the projects was the simplest and most wonderful time of my life. It was the same as my life here in Plymouth. Everyone knew each other, and everyone took care of each other. I was stunned. How could life in the projects of a town nicknamed Slummerville be as simple and as good as life in a private upper-class beach community? I started to think about how life became easier throughout my maternal lineage because each generation had more money and opportunities than the last. They go hand in hand. My grandmother was very poor, my mother's mother. She did not finish high school, worked in factories to feed her 5 children. My mother never went to college, but entered the working class by marrying my father, a plumber. I became middle class because of education. What class did you grow up in? Have you stayed the same? Are you a straddler? Someone whose position has improved over time, or maybe you are downwardly mobile, someone whose class is lower than it was, or lower than your parents. At the suggestion of CVUUS member Priscilla Bremser this week, I listened to Erica Heilman's Rumble Strip podcast. Anyone ever hear it? All right, a lot of you. Where she asks random everyday people in Vermont the question, what class are you? It was fascinating. Just a few things that I heard. A lower class working young man shared the challenges of surviving when you do not know where your next meal is coming from, especially because everyone you know is in the same place. One woman, she was, I think, my favorite, shared that she feels it is the job of people in her class, lower class, to make sure that rich people get what they want in life. A few folks shared that middle and upper class people, these are still lower class people talking, make assumptions about them. I'm sure you can guess what these are. They don't work hard enough. They're lazy. They're stupid. An upper middle class white lawyer said that he is part of the problem in this country because he has more power, wealth, and opportunities than most people. He believes one antidote is making connections with people of other classes. A young woman who grew up upper class said what a privilege it was when she was young to be told to do what she loves. And although she is now a struggling single mother, her privilege lets her know that everything will be all right. Classism is a belief that a person's social or economic station in society determines their value in that society, and behaviors that reflect this belief, resulting in the systematic oppression of the lower class and middle class to the advantage of the upper class. Some people say classism is the last socially acceptable prejudice in the United States. Classism is different than other isms, although it intersects with them. Because class cuts across the lines of culture, race, gender, ability, sexual preference, and so on. Some think social class is about hierarchy, who's better than who. Some think class is a social construct. Some think our country was founded on it. Carlo Bordoni, an Italian sociologist, believes the concept of class in our current times is an invention of the modern spirit and therefore not a natural condition of the human being, but a consequence of the division of labor. Some think class, and this is somewhat true, I think, there's no longer a hereditary transmission as it has been, but depends on where and when you were born. Some blame capitalism. You feeling uncomfortable yet? Classism is hard to talk about because some folks, you might be sitting here, are in denial or have a lack of awareness that class exists. Some believe in mediocrity, that people get what they deserve. Some fear conflict in talking about it. In her book, Envy Up, Scorn Down, psychologist Susan Fisk found that primary emotions around social class are pity, pride, disgust, and envy. Other emotions that are elicited around class issues are entitlement, shame, anger, and guilt. What feelings do you have about your class? What feelings do you have about other classes? We all have them. I had one the other day. My husband can attest to it. He's here today. Another story. My paternal grandfather was an Italian immigrant. He made it to the 5th grade. As a teenager, he trained as a plumber and started a plumbing company. He used his profit to invest in real estate, and he became a billionaire, which is why that beach house in Plymouth exists. In his retirement, he spent all his time growing vegetables. It was a hot summer day. I was a teenager, happily helping him in his garden all morning. He said we needed to take a break and go to the grocery store. At the checkout, my grandfather in his white Fruit of the Loom tank top, all sweaty and smelly, covered in dirt, took a burlap bag from deep in his pocket of his trousers, which were held up by suspenders, and slowly began to count quarters to pay for the groceries. Quarters that he had from his apartments from the laundry machines, that he kept in his trunk, that he used to buy everything with. I was so embarrassed. This feeling of shame just filled me. And I remember wanting to scream out in the grocery store, "My grandfather's rich! My grandfather's rich!" Although my grandfather moved up in class economically over his lifetime, his education and his occupation remained the same. What he wore and ate, who he hung out with, his mannerisms, his speech, were all indicators of his working class background. My working class background comes out in how I speak. Becoming a UU minister made me work on changing my speech. My husband has too. He grew up UU. And my tendency to use curse words so I wouldn't appear working class. I didn't want anyone to know. I don't feel that way anymore, but the beginning. And this was affirmed when a Harvard divinity professor and former president of the UUA, Unitarian Universalist Association, told my classmate she had a speech impediment because of her habit of closing statements with, "you know." And that if she really wanted to become a UU minister, she should go to speech therapy. Basil Bernstein, a British sociologist, discovered class differences in speech. He saw 2 different linguistic codes, the elaborated code in middle class group and the restricted code in the working class group. The elaborated code is formal. The classic example of this is the frequent prefix "I think," which is a signal of a culture which prizes individuality, independence, and competition. By contrast, the restricted code used by working class people is implicit rather than explicit. Working class people use less verbal elaboration, but more gestures, meaningful glances, and variations in their speech. They often end their sentences with, "you know," or "isn't it?" expecting a response to reconnect them. They also tell more stories than middle class folks. And this explains why my husband and I sometimes have a difficult time communicating. I tell him a story, and I often end with, "you know." He remains silent and still for a while, and often responds with, "what do you think?" "I think." In the broadest sense, Bernstein is saying that working class people use language to recreate their values of belonging. And middle class people use their language to recreate their values of becoming. This explains why my mother equates two very different class neighborhoods similarly. She values belonging over becoming. And this also explains, and I didn't realize this until I did all this research, why she is prouder of my dedication to and commitment to my family more than for my becoming a minister. One of the reasons people come to CVUUS is that they're looking for a community, a place to belong. And I wonder, and you have to wonder this too, if classism plays a role and whether people feel comfortable here, whether they feel like they belong here or not. Mark Harris, another professor of mine from seminary, his book, Elite, uncovers the classism that has been part of Unitarian Universalist history. This is a quote, "Our traditions and culture reflect those of the elite." Because many of the isms of our world intersect, we need to look at classism as we explore, and we've been starting to explore here, racism. UU minister and author of many books, Mark Morrison Reed, who calls himself a black-born Unitarian, believes that the real issue in our congregations is one of class and not race. He thinks that if we become less classist, we will see more racial and ethnic diversity. The truth is that classism and racism, as Reverend William Barber III says, are interlocking systems of injustice. In his leadership of the Poor People's Campaign, he tells us that there are 140 million poor and low-wealth people in our country, and most of this is invisible. Although there are more poor white people than poor black people, 61% of African Americans are poor and low wealth compared to 30% of white people, which shows the interlockingness between systematic racism and systematic poverty. The Commission of Appraisal of the UUA studied class in our denomination. The good news is that they found more diversity and social class among us than existed in the past, so that's a good thing. The bad news is they found that poor and working class UUs, and that was me originally, have significant painful experiences of shame, exclusion, and invisibility when they are in our congregations. They recommend we look at our classist attitudes and behaviors. How do we do that? Well, the fact that you came here today to listen is good. We pay attention. We educate ourselves. We talk about class. We look at the ways in which we as a congregation engage in classist behaviors and attitudes. We explore the intersection of race and class. We as a congregation join the Poor People's Campaign. We look at our worship services and programming and how they cater to white, middle, and upper class. If we are wealthy, we give more money during our pledge drive. If we are poor or low wealth, we share that with someone we trust in the congregation, a leader, a minister, and how the culture of CVUS makes us feel. I'm sure you can come up with more ideas, and I would love to hear them. I need to talk about one more thing. There's a class warfare going on, and it's not between the rich and the poor or between black and white. It's between the political class and the rest of the citizenry who bear the brunt of political power and pay the price in lost liberty, property, and opportunity. The political class, which is not part of the class system at all, but makes decisions that impact all of us, wants the rest of us, which is probably most of us sitting here today, no matter who we are, to wage war against each other. This group is also known as the ruling class. It's a group of bipartisan political elites who make decisions and policies about every facet of American life, from family and marriage to women's power, from the environment to other planets, from guns to gods. This ruling political class is demeaning us, impoverishing us, demoralizing us, and we have to stand up against it. They pit black against white, rich against poor, and white middle-class groups against each other. We have to find ways to bridge the gap between the lower, poor people, and middle-class people, and upper-class people. If there's any hope in us creating justice, equity, and compassion in our relationships, in the world. So that we can create a beloved community where everyone is known, where we all belong, where we all take care of each other. And to restate the opening words, nothing that Unitarian Universalists need to do is more important than making justice real here where we are, at CVUUS, this sweet little town of Middlebury. Hard as diversity is, it's our most important task. So let's do it, and let's sing when the Spirit says do. 1024, Teal Hymnal. have 3 pathways to connection. 1, go downstairs, and if you're not yet involved in this community, go to one of the tables, go to all the tables, and get involved. 2, food items for hope. You know about that? So food, dry food, canned food, all that kind of food. No one's bringing it in, so you got to bring it in. Either during the week if you come here or next Sunday. There's a box somewhere. Okay, that's probably part of the problem, right? Where's the box? Okay. And the last thing, this is a way to get connected to people. Maybe you can talk about class during the circle suppers. Sorry, Jean. Circle suppers are like a way to connect with other people, right? Small group of people having supper together. They're going to be potluck. You can go to one. You can host one. What else? Facilitate the conversation. And they're going to happen in April. And there's going to be one here on April 14th, which is a Sunday after the service. So you can go to that one. Try to get to one of them. If you want to host or go or facilitate, please talk to Jean. Stand up, Jean. After the service. Okay, those are all my thing. I have a quote. Where is it? Malcolm X. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. We have one more song.
There we go. As the band starts playing here,